Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Cardona, a new rule for gainful employment was discussed in the department's most recent negotiated rulemaking session. A number of negotiators suggested that the department go back to the 2014 gainful employment regulations as a base to jumpstart negotiations. However, the department did not do this. Instead, the department limited negotiators to 2 sessions to view and discuss their gainful employment. The proposal made several changes, including the removal of any ability for an institution to appeal the data before becoming ineligible for Title IV programs, and proposed to give the Secretary authority to remove an entire institution's ability for Title IV because of small program rates, debt to earnings rates, and the earnings threshold measure, among other items. So, Mr. Secretary, what is the rationale for these changes?
Thank you for the question. We feel strongly that we have a responsibility to improve, and I see you don't disagree with that, to improve gainful employment and to make sure that students who are going to higher education institutions have a good return on investment and are able to be employed. The processes that we're using does take into account input, and I'd be happy to follow up with your team if you want to hear more information about why it was done in the way it was done.
Okay. And just real quickly, why was the department unwilling to allow for institutions to appeal any of the data?
Again, sir, I'd be happy to have a more detailed follow-up with the folks from our higher ed team, with your team, to share more information about how the decisions were made to move forward with our gainful employment processes.
Okay, and I'll move along here. On June 24th of 2021, when discussing higher education policy, you stated before the committee your intent to hold all higher educational institutions accountable for misleading students, not just the ones the department does not support. Yet the department is leading an Office of Enforcement to increase oversight over proprietary institutions, while nonprofit institutions don't face similar scrutiny. The FTC in particular has threatened to take action against the largest proprietary institutions by their own admission, using the Department of Education's published data on revenue and enrollment size of these institutions, despite having zero reason to believe there has been any wrongdoing at these specific institutions. So, Mr. Secretary, can you please explain how the department plans to keep its focus on providing value for the student rather than scrutinizing institutions based upon their tax-paying status?
Thank you, Congressman Keller, and I again appreciate your engagement on the topic. You know, we're setting out to improve services and to ensure students are not taken advantage of. We recognize that there are some institutions that are more likely to do this. So we do have our FSA enforcement unit, but we do believe that all schools should be held to a high account when it comes to providing a return on investment. And this is work that we're going to continue to do because the system is not working now. And I welcome your input. I welcome your thoughts on this and how we can do better. But the goal for us is really to make sure that we're enforcing good practices so that our students are not left in major debt and inability to pay.
Well, that should be a goal of all of ours, that people get a quality education regardless of the institution's filing status. We can all agree on that, right?
Yes.
The filing status of an institution, whether it's proprietary, not-for-profit, public, doesn't matter. If they're providing a good education, we need to support them. If they're not, we need to make sure we hold them accountable. So I want to keep the focus squarely on the student, and I think we all want to do that, and make sure that they have the tools to succeed. But and again, I think we can agree on that. We did it in our last meeting. And I guess I would just want a commitment. I know last time we talked, we agreed on making sure everybody's held accountable in the same method. Have you come up with any plans since our last discussion on how we're going to do that?
Well, yes, the strategies that are coming out of higher ed with the scorecard, with our conversations, we're meeting with these folks regularly, private, public institutions, and the message is the same. I mean,
okay, well, I guess I would just say this. If that's the case and we care about the student, then I think you should get a hold of the FTC and make sure that they're not targeting proprietary institutions and using your information to do that. And I guess I would just make sure, let's make sure that we have the agreement that nobody should be using the Department of Education's information to target any institution simply because of their status.
Thank you.
The gentleman yields back.